You are watching Xirtus.
If you get hit, then you're not allowed to stream for a week, and if you get hit again, then you can't go for like 2 weeks, I think it is, and
And if you get
they
hit
keep
again, then
escalating.
they hold you over a bridge from your
Dude,
tennis shoes.
dude.
Right.
At some point, is this going to be like the end to Pump Up the Volume, where we're just riding around in a vehicle with an antenna, getting the show out?
Like Alex Jones. Yeah. I think that's what you have to do. I just remember like the early days of YouTubing and Facebook, actually even video, you could get like 20, 30,000 views. And then David mentioned this a bunch, that the Egyptian election happened. All of a sudden, you couldn't get your reach out anymore. And it got to the point where I was making multiple accounts on Facebook and getting pages made, and they get like 10, 20,000, 100,000 shut down, a new page up over and over again. But then they started tracking down my accounts and locking my accounts for like 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And you're unable to communicate with your friends or family. And it's interesting how quickly in space, nobody can hear you scream. In a safe space, nobody can hear you scream. Right? That's where we're headed, or we're at, I guess.
There's something to be said about like the story of like how we got here and how important it is. And it's been coming up a lot. And I realize it's like been a continuing theme. Like when I was at the farmer's market every week tabling, like it's like here's the communication around how we ended up where we're at and how significant that is to understand like the future and the present. And like I keep coming up against this thing with people where they just like they don't see why it matters, like how we arrived at it. Like you just mentioned, like the Egyptian protests. It's like that was the story. Like at the time, like I watched it happen in real time. It was like they used Facebook to organize the protests, and then all of a sudden, it was like the reach just like within a week of like that happening when it was really successful. It's like, oh wait, this is a problem. We can't allow this anymore. And it's been that way ever since. Where it got narrower and narrower.
I think the Egyptian spring, Arab Spring, and Egyptian elections are going to become more important than less. Kind of the way Ukraine was for a lot of Americans a sleeper issue from 2014 until 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. I mean, really, Americans didn't care until they're like, oh my God, have you seen what they're going on over there? Yeah, I was like,
it's the reflection is uncomfortable, or the cognitive dissonance. It's that people can totally talk about the find out because that's where we're headed, which is total insanity, but they don't want the F around. Like they don't want to look at the F around. Like you effed around, but you don't want to look at that. You'd rather look at, you don't want to look at the DNC's role in how the last 3 elections played out, but you do want to talk about this current administration and what's going, you know what I mean? Like, they don't want to look at the F's around, but they're okay to look at the found out as long that's why they can blame other people for the find out. Does that make sense? Anyway, Captain Obvious here,
and that was sort of around with Cyprus as well. And I think that whole thing that happened was it's a word I don't want to say, but having to deal with banks and money and runs as well, because Cyprus, this is like around the same time. As the
sure.
And they, I think, intentionally did that as like an algorithm, like some sort of Palantir algorithm in a sense, so they can see what would happen during something like that, because it was on an isolated island. So it was easy to manage. People couldn't go to different islands to go withdraw their funds and whatnot. So a lot of stuff happening right now. I'm trying to look at it through the lens of the AI and algorithms and computers.
I think also the election, right? Because 2014 was Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's first term. He's now in his 3rd term.
Mm-hmm.
What we think of as Egypt today happened during the Egyptian election.
Well, that was the joke, is that everyone would say at the time, they were like, he got the kind of Saddam Hussein treatment. And there's this idea of like, oh, well, you got the shadow government and all this stuff. And then they're like, okay, finally, okay, this is what you wanted. He's out, and they replace him with something even worse. It's just like what happened with Joy Reid just now. Like Joy Reid is getting replaced by, I have to look it up again, but I was like, wait, that was that person who infiltrated Bernie's campaign, actually. Speak of the devil. Like the woman that's replacing Joy Reid now is like just as bad, if not worse. So it's just like,
was it the lady that took the mic away from him on stage?
Is that what I'm trying to remember?
That would be pretty cool. Give her a show.
It was pretty fresh. I haven't had enough time to really delve into the whole like, Jesus.
Well,
they can replace it with AI, I think, and it would be still a net gain, no?
Oh, the Egyptian leader or what?
No, Joy Reid. They could
Joy
replace
Reid.
Joy Reid with just AI.
I was gonna say,
I thought
no.
she was
But
AI.
think about the workers, all the Joy Reids that are going to lose their job.
Until she cried last night or whenever that was yesterday, I wasn't sure she was AI or not. And now I can see that she is in fact human, that was a human that was on the television. So
Did you watch the movie Civil? I can't even say that word either, but War at the end with Kirsten Dunst?
Oh, Civil War. Oh yeah, dude.
I feel like if you rewatch and look at the president, everyone looks human, but he looks like AI. And I think that they changed the script. I have no proof of this, but if you just look at the cinematography, he's AI through the whole movie. And I think it was the story supposed to be like a deep fake of the president. And they left that out of the story.
He's usually a comedian, so to look at it's like there's a weird effect that happens with stuff like that. It's why Jojo Rabbit's like such a good movie, or one of the reasons it's such a good movie is that it catches you off guard because you're relating to it like it's a comedy, and then you come up against something dead serious. So it's like even that other guy who's like traveling with him who dies on the way, like that bigger guy, like he that guy's like so known for comedy. So I don't know about you guys, but like when I'm watching somebody that I associate with comedy, it like catches my emotions off guard sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like Steve Carell trying to play a serious role. I just can't get into it.
Well, Bob Odenkirk achieved that on Better Call Saul. So
it reminds me sometimes of like what about Ernest? Like Ernest was known as this goofball, but he was very classically trained Shakespearean actor, and not a lot of people know him from that. And if you see him doing one of those roles, it almost has like an extra sort of
I just watched
ambiance to it.
He's got one. I just watched one of his earlier movies called Dr. Otto and the Gloom Beam, or something like that, and it was crazy. Like he was just doing all sorts of different kind of Peter Sellers style.
It started with commercials.
He's this evil villain. It's actually very politically like prescient to today. It's like the world is being taken over by basically a dark lord who's like destroying the value of the money, and it's 1985, but what's his real name? Jim Varney, Dr. Otto. What's the full title? Let's see here. It's Dr. Otto and the Riddle of the Gloom Beam.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a wild one. It's on Tubi.
I'm watching that tonight.
Did we ever see Vern, or was Vern just like less than a Wilson?
I don't think you ever saw Vern. And that the whole thing started out with commercials, right? And then he had that show. He had like little clips that were put together, and it was usually from the perspective of Vern, if not always, right? Like it's like he's talking to Vern. It's all first person perspective, right? Him interacting with Vern. But Vern was always like really stalker like, so he's just like following Vern around and making him really uncomfortable. I was like his main gig. But I like the importance of being Ernest, which was it's a very arrogant title, but no, that's a Zach Galifianakis bit. Sorry, stealing it.
ZG. I pulled up, put screen share on for a second, I guess. Here's the Dr. Otto and the Riddle of the Gloom Beam.
Yes. And Ernest like appears at the very end. It's almost like the end of the movie is like a teaser for Ernest. It's weird.
But he plays a bunch of other characters, right?
Yeah. Varney was like a Shakespearean actor, so he was really good at everything. But then like he got famous for doing like commercials or something where he played a silly character. He created this kind of Ernest character for some commercials, and then he died of like some horrible cancer, and everyone was sad,
You see the Sanpaku eyes he got in that image, where his eyes look crazy. So like Sanpaku is a Japanese term for the three whites. So when there's three whites at the top, it means like more crazy, like AOC vibes. She has those crazy eyes.
You would be good AI art of AOC recently, and it never occurred to me that AOC, ACO, so A Clockwork Orange, AOC, There's a
Oh wow, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because he
with the
has
lid locks. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like so, like that seems to be like the obvious image is her with lid locks. Have you done that, Thomas?
Put lip gloss in my eyes? Not yet.
No, lid locks. The lid
Oh,
locks.
so
Clockwork Orange.
Oh, you mean like Clockwork Orange style?
That's what I'm saying. AOC, ACO. You know,
that makes
Is
sense.
that what it's actually called?
lid locks. Yeah, I think that's in the book. I'd have to look again, but yeah.
But I got this theory that they're using the symbolism of a Sanpaku eye to charge something, because we're looking at these different hosts of the most mainstream podcasts in the world, for example, the most watched, most funded, you know, the most mainstream thing you could watch is a podcast called Joe Rogan. And if you look at his symbol, his third eye has the Sanpaku, his eyes have the Sanpaku as well. And I mean, you just watch all the movies on and music videos in the 90s, especially just watching Beavis and Butthead and watching all the music videos that they go to, like Black Hole Sun. Everyone's got those eyes and they really show it a lot. And I think it's because it's some sort of psychological trick being played.
Well, isn't that what happens to you when you get woke? Is your eyes get wide? I mean, I got some wide eyes, so I'm not one to, I live in a glass house as far as that goes. But yeah, I mean,
yeah, no, it's totally normal to all that. I'm just saying symbolically on the world stage, they showcase the symbol of the Sanpaku eye, and if it's underneath and it's the three whites at the bottom, it just means distress. Like if I'm stressed out, I'll have the three underneath. If I'm crazy and pissed off, I'll have it at the top. Okay. But they've shown people like Prince, JFK, having the Sanpaku eye, and there's always a tragic story in their life.